Let's take you to the story now. It is South Africa's pioneering public art festival of music, dance, video and visual art. Now, that's 2-week fest is also known as Infecting the City, which kicked off on the 15th and ends on the 26th of November. For more on this now, we take you to our anchor, Lebo Serache, who's in the mother city. Lebo, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Take us through what's happening there this morning.
Good morning, and a warm welcome to the Saturday edition of Morning Live. As Moloi said, we are out at Infecting the City. It is the longest longest running public art festival in South Africa. And what the festival does, it brings out, what we normally see in galleries and theaters. It brings it out to public spaces so the public can see art in a different form. But I'm going to bring in my two guests so they can give us, an idea of what we're talking about when we talk about infecting the city. We will be here throughout the morning until about 8:30. But I'm going to bring one of the curators, Nkgopoleng Moloi, who is also with Dane Hurst, who's also one of the artists. Ladies and gentlemen, I need you to come a bit closer to me. But behind me, before we even continue this conversation, Jazzart Dance Theatre. Those are the dancers behind us, if you're wondering who they are. As I said, one of the co-curators of the festival is Nkgopoleng Moloi. Nkgopoleng, a very good morning to you. Welcome to Morning Live. Tell us a little bit about Infecting the City. For somebody who does not know, what is this festival?
Right, thank you so much for having us, Lebo, and good morning to everyone at home. Infecting the City is a wonderful public art festival that seeks to bring art to the public. Two things are really important to us is that, number one, all the performances are absolutely free, and so anyone, anywhere can come and watch the performances. And number two, that we engage public space, use the city in a way that people can feel comfortable in, and that they can be able to engage sites that are usually very difficult for them to access, to enjoy, to be at. So that's really what we're about, bringing art to the people in an accessible manner for them to be challenged, but also for them to enjoy beautiful works.
Dan, let me bring you into this conversation. Speak to us about, in fact, I wanted you to tell us a little bit about this piece that we're looking at.
Okay, so this piece is called Listen to My Hands, choreographed by Andile Velem and Yassine Manuel of the Unmute Dance Company. And Jazzart Dance Theatre, as the first contemporary dance company in this country, founded here in Cape Town in 1973, collaborated with the Unmute company to develop this work for our 50th anniversary season this year at the Artscape Theatre.
Tell us about Jazzart Dance Theatre. What is this institution?
So Jazzart is a dance organization that is an outreach dance program, a training program, and a professional dance company. As I mentioned, it was founded in 1973, and for 50 years it has changed the lives of young artists, creating artists that you see out in South Africa and internationally today. And our main aim and mission is to uplift and elevate the dance form so that we can engage with audiences, educate audiences, and inspire people to be better versions of themselves. Because the dance form is an expression of the self, and what we do is we develop artists, young artists, taking them out into the world to share where they come from, to share our culture, our South African culture. You know, we are founded here in South Africa. We're really proud of how diverse the company is. If you look at the company, it's a cross-section of dancers from all around the country. And just this year, as part of our celebration of 50 years, we traveled to the UK and we blew the audiences away. You know, when people see dancers from South Africa, they are so inspired because of that fire that is inside. It is very different. If you see a South African artist compared to any artist around the world,
Right.
we are so proud about the fire that we have inside. It's a really special place and special artists. Yeah.
Nkgopoleng, you kicked off on the 15th of November. Take us through those few days until today, because I know it's closing on the 26th, which is tomorrow. But what's happened today? So what's happened between the 15th and the 16th? What's been the response?
Yeah, it has been truly incredible. Artists have responded to the call towards social activism in very interesting ways. We have seen works that are kind of traditional artworks such as theatre works. We have seen durational performances. We have seen installations. We have seen dance and music. And it's really been truly incredible. One of the things that I have really appreciated is receiving audience feedback as people walk through the city, and a lot of the times they're quite surprised, like, what is going on? What is this? And when we kind of tell them that this is what we have created for you to bring these beautiful high quality works to the public, they're usually very surprised but also very delighted to be able to enjoy in that experience. And so at the end of the day, the last couple of days have been about how art can actually bring people together and can be quite an important component of social cohesion, because what we believe is that courage is contagious, and what we have seen from the artist is a huge amount of courage, and that has literally infected the city over the past 2 weeks.
I know it's an unfair question, but what stood out for you? What has stood out for you in the past couple of days?
It is an unfair question. I think for different reasons, different people have done different things for me. There have been performances that have made me cry, like Mtutuzeli Simba's performance that we saw last night, which people can come to see at the Church Square tonight. The final performance will be there at 9 p.m. There have been performances that have just been joyful and beautiful, such as what Jazzart has been able to offer us. A lot of beautiful dance movement and dance pieces as well. We're going to be able to experience some of that later today with you. So it's just been really incredible for different reasons. But all of the artists have just, we're very proud, we're very happy, and very privileged to be here. Yeah.
Dane, what do festivals such as Infecting the City do for an art form of this nature, like Jazzart Dance Theatre?
Well, the great thing about this festival is that it engages artists who are placed all around the city. And for artists, what we practice for, what we aim to do is to connect with audiences. And what this has done, it has gainfully employed artists who are on the freelance spectrum, but also who are working with different companies. It has engaged all of us to come together to share our art with each other, with the audiences, and also it takes us to spaces that we would never usually go. And also for the audiences who might never buy a ticket to go and see a dance performance in the theatre, they can stumble upon a dance performance in a space amongst incredible art, architecture, artwork, the natural environment here within the city. It is really wonderful, and I think it's just overall a really successful venture. We are really happy to be a part of it, and long may it continue.
Yeah. And what are the themes that you explore in the different pieces that you're staging?
So our program was a cross section of the works that we created this year in our 50th anniversary year. And as I mentioned before, the Listen to My Hands was a work by Yasin Manuel and Andile Velem. That work was called Listen to My Hands, and Andile Velem is deaf, and the Unmute Dance Company is an organization for differently abled or disabled dancers, and he was telling his story about not being able to hear in the world where we all hear, and how he has to use his hands to communicate to the world that is not really listening to people of differently abled bodies. So our dancers engaged with that narrative, and then the final work that we are going to perform is entitled Colors of Africa, and it's a celebration of the diversity of the different type of people that make up the African population, and it was choreographed by Gregory Makoma, and it usually is performed by 28 of our dancers, but today we'll only show an extract of six dancers. So it's a pure celebration of who we are as a multiracial, multicultural country, part of an incredible continent.
Speak to us, Nkgopoleng, about the different themes that were explored at this year's festival.
So the themes were quite broad. We had issues of migration, we had questions around land, we had healing as a form of activism, but we also had celebration of kind of being alive, celebration of being able to be together, all housed under the umbrella of political and social activism. The intention was to call artists who are already engaging grassroots and organizations, and who are kind of already thinking about activism in their day-to-day lives and in their day-to-day practices. And so a lot of the themes that I explored are quite personal to the artists, but they also have been thinking about those themes throughout time. And so this was just one moment in time to be able to speak to those issues and to be able to engage those issues.
And as a co-curator, speak to us about that process and, the thought process behind staging in the different spaces in Cape Town and making sure that it translates into, the vision that the choreographers and the dancers and the artists also have for you.
Right. As our director at the Institute for Creative Arts, Jay Pather, always says, it takes a community to build something like Infecting the City. And so the process was quite long. We had an open call for artists who then sent in their proposals. We had a selection committee which included Maxwell Khani and Warona Siane. And so they helped us in looking at the proposals through kind of different questions to see what the works would look like. And then we had two beautiful curators, Temba Stewart and Maganthi Pillay, who helped us understand how the city is situated and where the works would have the most, kind of the best impact. And so a lot of that is taking in the works through artistic merit, through the concepts that they're engaging, and then placing them in different sites to make sure that there is a conversation between what the work is trying to do and who is ultimately going to experience the work.
And according to Maganthi, why is that so important, that the spaces speak to the works?
A lot of the works are actually site-specific, and so it's important that there is a relationship between what we are seeing and where we are. And so one of the pieces that we will see today, She Is Us and We Are Her, is a response to First Nation and Indigenous people in South Africa who are largely forgotten. And so the work is a commemoration of people who have suffered a lot of violence, but who are not in the history books. And so that work took place at the Slave Lodge, which obviously is such an important site if we think about First Nation and Indigenous people. So that's just one example of how the site-specific aspect of the work comes through.
Dane, speak to us about your dance story. I want to hear your dance story. Give us the backstory there.
Okay, so I was born in Gqeberha, Port Elizabeth, and I was introduced to dance, funnily enough, by watching Michael Jackson on television. Yeah, but I trained in classical ballet, and I applied for a place at the Rombe School, and that was made possible by a scholarship that was set up by Nelson Mandela and Lady Anya Sainsbury of the UK. They came together. They had a party in the UK in '93, and they said, look, how can we help each other? And Mandela said, look, we've got amazing dancers. You're a dance legend here in the UK. Bring our dancers over to the UK.
You're right.
And since 1994 to 2004, there was a scholarship that brought 22 young South African students over to train at the Rombe School of Ballet and Contemporary Dance in London. And I was the last student that went over in 2003 to get a scholarship. And since then, I've been based in the UK. And last year, I decided to return to South Africa to take up the job as Artistic Director of Jazzart Dance Theatre. And here I am standing with you, which is really wonderful.
Yeah.
You know, dance has literally changed my life. Yeah.
Why was that important for you to return? Did you even give it a second thought, when that opportunity came up?
Yeah, you know, I had an almost 20-year career, and I've seen the world. I've performed to tens of thousands of people. You know, my life has really changed. And what I want to do is change the lives of other young people who are here, because I know that when I was training, we couldn't afford the dance classes. I couldn't afford the ballet shoes or the tights. You know, my teacher just said, look, pay what you can. If you can't pay, I'm going to support you. And she offered me a hand to change my life. And I would love to do the same, because I know that the dancers who I trained with, many of them didn't have the opportunity to travel to the studio, to get the scholarship, to go over, and they left the art form. So we've lost a lot of artists because they've not had opportunities. And at the moment, Jazzart is a place of opportunity, because we provide training at no cost to the student. You know, at the moment, we've got 20 young students who are training for the next 3 years. And our job now is to invest in them. And opportunities like this, our trainees were performing right here. You know, they are having an opportunity to engage with the people of the country, to engage with this art form, and it makes them feel better versions of themselves. It creates an elevation of self.
Yeah.
You know, it's really wonderful. So that's the reason why I came back, is to give back and to try to change their lives.
Yeah.
And we've got a success story. Just 2 weeks ago, Pikolwe to Luke, who trained with Jazzart in 2019, who became a company member last year, just got a job offer in the UK.
Oh, wow.
And now he's working out in Leeds at Phoenix Dance Theatre, the company I danced with and directed. So that's an incredible success story, and you just want to keep doing that, celebrate the art form and change lives.
All right, those are good stories. Thank you so much, Dane.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's Dane Hurst, one of the artists at Infecting the City. Also with him is Nkgopoleng Moloi. She's a co-curator at Infecting the City. So we're going to be spending the morning here. And at the moment, we are at the Iziko National Gallery. And the Infecting the City Festival takes place throughout spaces in the city of Cape Town. So we will talk to Jay Pather just after 7 o'clock. So more coming from the mother city here at Infecting the City.